Good afternoon, everybody. Can I hear a good afternoon back? Thank you. My name is Miss Michelle Pomerantz, and I am the Mayor's Chief of Education, and it brings me great pleasure to provide greetings and welcoming to all our students in the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. I'm so glad to see my friends, and if I call your school, give me a little, let's see who's got the most school spirit. I want to hear from you. I'm happy to see my friends from Miles School. Where are they? Woo! And I think we have some lawyers in the house from John Marshall. How about my friends from Marion C. Seltzer? Thank you. And what about my other friends from Natividad Pagan K-12 International Newcomer School? And then I think we have, some JFK in the house. How about some Eagles? Is there any other schools that I have missed? Oh my gosh, I saved the best for last. Robert H. Jameson. Let's hear it for my scholars from there. And then I also have my good friend and colleague, Mr. Glenville himself, Councilman Kevin Conwell. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming, sharing your talents with us as we celebrate this month of Black History. And I also wanted to thank the Black History Committee for the city, including Kelly Smith. Where's Kelly? Let's give her a round of applause. She's the chair of the committee for this, and she's in our HR department. And then my other colleague, Ms. Simpson, who's going to provide more remarks. And she also is from our City of Cleveland Human Resources Department. So I wanted to tell you all, I used to be a little kid in first grade at Cleveland schools. And that school was called Louis Agassiz, which is now changed over, in part thanks to Councilman Conwell, to Mary Terrell School. And I imagine myself being a little first grader getting to come to this big auditorium and getting to show off my talents. So I hope that you're not nervous. I hope that you play and sing your hearts out. And most importantly, before I turn it over to Ms. Simpson, let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Jeffrey Allen, who's the CMSD Arts Director, who has brought all of you together today. And with that, I turn it over to Ms. Simpson, and I can't wait to take lots of pictures.
Thank you.
I'm gonna sit front row.
Hi, everybody. We are so very happy to have you all here with us today. On behalf of the City of Cleveland, the Black History Month Committee, and the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, we welcome you to the City Hall, and we thank you for joining us this afternoon as we celebrate Black history. This year, the Black History Month theme is African Americans in Labor. It first might seem that music and labor doesn't go together, right? But just consider for a moment the musicians and performers whose sweat and toil created a magnificent musical legacy. These individuals weren't just playing for amusement, they were laborers in the truest sense, working tirelessly at their craft despite tremendous obstacles. Many of these artists performed day and night for little to no wages in venues where they weren't even allowed to sit and watch. The great Ella Fitzgerald and Duke Ellington, they often couldn't even stay at the very hotels in which they played. However, you all have stepped through a doorway this afternoon, not unlike Dorothy stepping from her black and white toned Kansas into a colorful and marvelous land of Oz, into a realm where music tells the stories that history books often forget to mention. Which brings me to the most wonderful part of the celebration today. Just as Dorothy discovered unexpected companions on her journey, you'll soon meet our remarkably talented student performers who will guide us on a magical adventure. What could be more fitting? Musical traditions born in struggle and joy are now living anew through fresh voices and boundless energy. Our student narrator will guide you through time itself, while our young performers will demonstrate how the past speaks directly to the present and points the way to our future. So, prepare yourselves for a celebration of both music and youth, of traditions honored and possibilities embraced. Like Dorothy's ruby slippers, these musical traditions carry magic that transcends time and place. And like the Emerald City itself, they shine with a brilliance that can never be dimmed. Now, without further ado, I invite you to join us as we ease on down the road, as we take a musical journey through time in a celebration of African American musical influence. Our journey begins in the heartbeat of Africa itself, and oh, what wonders await along our path.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm gonna try that again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. I think you all know who I am. If not, I'm gonna tell you anyways. I'm the Wizard of Oz, and I'm here to tell you a story, the story of African Americans. You know, for many years, I hid behind curtains and clouds of smoke, putting on a grand show, you know? Much like many of us do sometimes, pretending to be something we're not. But today, I want to share something real with you. Something magical that doesn't need any special effects. Did you know that nearly every style of American music you hear today has roots in African American creativity? Rock and roll? Thank Chuck Berry and Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Jazz? Born in the heart of New Orleans Black communities. Country music, shaped by the banjo, an instrument with African origins. Even today's pop music moves the rhythm pioneered in R&B, soul, and hip hop. You know, it reminds me of Dorothy's journey. Down the yellow brick road, she started in a black and white Kansas, but oh, when she landed in Oz, what colors she discovered, what wonders awaited, much like Dorothy meeting her companions one by one, each bringing their own special gift. African American music has traveled through time, collecting brilliant innovations, heartfelt expressions, encourages new forms. Just as the Scarecrow brought his clever thinking, the Tin Man his deep feeling, the Lion his protective spirit, African musical traditions brought polyrhythms that made our feet move in new ways, blue notes that made our hearts feel deeper emotions, and powerful voices that made our spirits soar higher than ever that we could ever think. It's like my friend Dorothy discovering that Oz had colors she had never imagined possible. African American music didn't just add a few notes, it added to American culture. It wrote an entirely new symphony. Every beat, every blues notes, every syncopated rhythm changed, not just what we hear, but how we hear it. When the first drums spoke across the African continent, they weren't just making music. They were telling stories, sharing news, celebrating life itself. Each beat was a word, each rhythm a sentence, each song a chapter in the great story of people. To begin our journey, Moran Sheltered School presents Kua Kua Medele, directed by Brother Ula and Gabrielle Skanes. the beautiful music of those drums. But those drums, they crossed oceans that were never meant to be crossed. Like my friend the Scarecrow, who thought he needed a brain to be wise, these rhythms carried ancient wisdom in their very beats. They survived the journey no one should have had to make. But even in the darkest times, people found ways to keep their spirits soaring. They created songs that seemed to be about one thing on the surface. Like my illusions once were, but held deeper truths within. Those thunderous rhythms we just experienced, can you still feel them resonating in your chest? I asked you a question. Can you still feel them resonating in your chest? They speak to something primal in all of us, connecting us to the very beginnings of human beings. And like seeds carried on the wind, these rhythmic traditions would take root in new soil, growing into something both familiar and wondrously new. Oh, what a remarkable journey transformation can be. Rather like my own story, a simple showman from Omaha who found himself carried by unexpected winds to a land where everything was possible. Those magnificent rhythms traveled across vast waters, though under far more terrible circumstances, yet preserved their essential magic despite all attempts to silence them. The Scarecrow once told me, after he received his brain, that the greatest wisdom that often comes from the deepest suffering. It's not about what we know, he said, but how we transform what we've experienced. And transform they did. Those first enslaved Africans, forbidden their drums, found new instruments in their bodies. Patting jabba, clapping hands, stomping feet, creating rhythms that one day shake the very foundation of American music. Now, consider how remarkable this is. My friends, songs created in bondage became the foundation of Freedom's soundtrack. Spirituals like Wade in the Water weren't merely religious songs, they were maps to liberty, instructing those seeking freedom to travel through water to thrown off pursuing bloodhounds. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot spoke the Underground Railroad in Medelic Code. The Tin Man thought he needed an external heart, but his compassion proved it beat strongly within him all along. Just as these things proved to be unquenchable spirit of the people who refused to be defined by their chains. These spirituals, like Ezekiel Saw the Will, weren't just songs about divine visions. They were coded messages of hope, of freedom, of resilience. Much like the Tin Man discovered, his heart had been there all along. These songs revealed the unbreakable spirit that had always existed. Next, Miles Park School presents Ezekiel Saw the Will, directed by Yolanda Stewart.
Ezekiel saw the will. tears as they sing. Seeking my will, way in the air. A will and a will, even I will stare. Big wills, little wills, and they struggle. Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw a will. Way up in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw a will. Way in the middle of the air. The big will turned my face. The little one turned by the grace of God. It's a will and a will. Way in the middle of the air. Way in the middle of the air. Yeah!
I don't know, if you ask me, that's how you remember history. Taking something and making it your own to share with people. Give another round of applause. You know, Dorothy once told me something profound. She said, "If I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard." And that's exactly what happened with these rhythms. Those ancient African beats we heard at the beginning, they never left. They just transformed. Like me. Oh, what a marvelous thing transformation is. I remember when I first arrived in the Emerald City, a traveling entertainer suddenly thrust into a role far grander than I ever imagined. How frightened I was, how I hid behind my mechanical wonders and thunderous proclamations. But those ancient African rhythms, they never hid their nature. They simply evolved, adapting like magical creatures to every new environment. From Mali to Mississippi, to Ashanti to Alabama, from the Congo Square to Carnegie Hall, these rhythms maintain their essential spirit while speaking in new tongues. The polyrhythms of West Africa became the syncopation of ragtime, the swing of jazz, the backbeat of rock and roll, each transformation revealing something new while honoring what came before. Much like Dorothy and her friends faced the Wicked Witch, discovering courages and strengths they never knew that they possessed. From the fields to the streets, from churches to stadiums, these rhythms found new life in marching bands in historically black colleges and universities. Talk about courage and pride. When these bands step onto the field, they're not just performing, they're continuing a legacy that goes back generations. Every precision step, every crisp beat, every flourish shows us something I learned the hard way. That true power comes from being authentically, unapologetically yourself. The secret that I learned behind my great curtain, the one I was so afraid to share, is the same one that these magnificent drummers demonstrate with every performance. Our greatest magic comes not from pretending to be something we're not, but embracing the wondrous beings we truly are. Now, John Marshall High School presents Storm, directed by Ananias Aldridge. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But give them a biggest welcoming hand. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that was the best transformation. Even though you couldn't understand any words, but you could feel the beat and how they told a story. So once again, can we give another round of applause for John Marshall High School? My friend the Cowardly Lion taught me something important, though. He thought he needed a medal to have courage. But when the moment came, he found his voice within. In the 1960s, courage wore many faces. It was the face of young students in lunch counters, of children walking to school, of thousands marching for their rights, and always, always for their music. Music has always been the golden thread connecting moments of transformation. Just as the mighty lion discovered his courage was within him all along, the civil rights movement revealed the strength that had always existed in communities long denied their rightful peace. What a magnificent courage it was. When the lion faced the wicked witch, he trembled but stood firm. When Fannie Lou Hamer faced Congress, her voice shook with emotion but never with fear. When John Lewis crossed that bridge in Selma, his legs may have faltered under police batons, but his spirit stood mountain strong. And through it all, can you hear it? Through it all, the music played on. The songs of the civil rights movement weren't just background music. They were weapons of peace, shield of solidarity, banners of hope. We shall overcome, This Little Light of Mine, and so many more became the heartbeat of revolution. Gospel transformed into freedom songs as naturally as water flows downhill. The scared became secular without losing its spiritual power. Mahalia Jackson's voice rang out before Dr. King shared his dream, preparing hearts to receive his message. The staple singers turned church harmonies into anthems of change, and everywhere the rhythms we've been tracing from African drums through spirituals and into modern age provided the pulse that kept the movement's hearts beating strong. Dr. King understood something I took years to learn, that true power isn't about smoke and mirrors, it's about touching hearts and changing minds. Now we have a Natividad Partigan International Newcomers Academy presenting Martin Luther King's tribute directed by Renee Stubaka. speak out for others, that's great. Now this is where our story gets really interesting. Like my friends here discovered, sometimes the best learning happens when you stop trying so hard and just let yourself feel the rhythm. The yellow brick road may have led to the Emerald City, but the path of their American music has led to every corner of our modern world. From speakeasies to streaming services, from juke joints to global jukeboxes, this musical journey has transformed not just American culture, but the world culture. Think of it. The blues gave birth to rock and roll, jazz improvisation inspired beat poetry and hip-hop freestyle, gospel vocal techniques created the foundation for soul, R&B and modern pop singing. The electronic innovations of Detroit techno and Chicago house music now pulse through dance floors from Tokyo to Berlin. Whenever anyone, anywhere, moves their body to syncopated beat, they're dancing to rhythms with African roots. And just as Dorothy discovered, she had the power to return home all along. These musical traditions continually return to their roots while simultaneously stretching toward new horizons. They sampled beats in hip hop, ancient rhythmic patterns reborn in digital form, the call and response between rapper and audience, as old as riots of West Africa, as fresh as tomorrow's newest track. From the streets of Bronx to the stages of world, African American music kept evolving, kept growing, kept teaching us new ways to express ourselves. Hip hop, funk, soul, they're all branches of the same mighty tree that grew from those first African seeds. You know, I spent years trying to intimidate people with my big floating head act. These artists, they changed the world by being real, by telling their stories, by celebrating their victories. Just as Dorothy taught us, there's no place like home. These musicians taught us there's nothing more powerful than embracing your true self. From Louis Armstrong to Aretha Franklin, from Duke Ellington to Kendrick Lamar, these message rings clear as Glinda's bubble. Your authentic voice is more powerful, magic than you possess. Next performance is John F. Kennedy High School presents All I Do Is Win, directed by Dana Gross.
We had a last-minute cancellation today, and it was our drummer. So I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. We know what the drums sound like. That's in our imagination. Can you use yours to fill in the drum part for us?
Thank you. Well done.
Overcoming an outstanding performance. Can we get another round of applause? You know, watching all this today made me realize something. For years, I was the great and powerful Oz, hiding behind curtains. Afraid to let anyone see the real me. But every song we've heard today has been about finding the courage to be yourself, the wisdom to learn from the past, the heart to feel deeply, and the power to transform. My dearest friends in the audience, I've been reflecting on the remarkable journey I've witnessed with Dorothy and her companions. Dorothy, that brave Kansas girl, whirled into a strange new world, but never lost her essential goodness or her yearning for home. Much like these musical traditions that traveled so far, yet kept their soul intact, the scarecrow who calculated the precise number of seconds it would take to lower the chandelier to rescue Dorothy from the witch's castle, yet believed he couldn't think. The Tin Man who wept all the light out of the captured lion until rust froze his jaw, yet believed he had no heart. And Dear Lion, who leapt across a chasm to save his friends despite his terror, yet he doubted his own courage. How wonderfully they mirror the journey of these musical traditions, music that solved impossible problems, finding joy in the mindset of unspeakable hardship, music that expressed the deepest emotions when those who created it were told they weren't fully human. Music that stood tall against oppression when standing meant risking everything. For this music has always carried within it the brilliance, the heart, the courage, and the magic that others tried to deny it. From those first drum circles in Africa, through the honors, through the horrors of Middle Passage, through plantations and Reconstruction, through Jim Crow and civil rights, Through disco and hip hop and beyond, the musical tradition has demonstrated the resilience that will make even the cowardly lion roar with pride. It has shown problem-solving creativity the scarecrow would admire. It has expressed emotions so genuine the Tin Hen would weep tears of recognition. And it has transformed American culture with the power that, I must humbly admit, makes the greatest illusions seem like a mere party trick. So today, inspired by the incredible journey we shared, I've written something of my own. No smoke, no mirrors, no illusions, just me, because that's the greatest lesson African American music teaches us, that our authentic voice is most powerful magic. I will be rapping a song from one second. From an old song.
You know, when Dorothy and her friends went to see the great and powerful Oz, they thought they needed him to give them some type of magic they were missing. But just like the musicians and artists we've celebrated today, they already had everything they needed within them. Their greatness was already there, in their truth, in their souls, in their stories. Dorothy's journey didn't end with clicking those ruby slippers. You know, she carried the land of Oz with her forever. The wisdom, the heart, the courage she discovered there. Just as the Scarecrow went on to become the wisest ruler Emerald City had ever known. Just as the Tin Man brought newfound compassion to the woods he once wandered through alone. Just as the lion became the respected king of the forest, protecting all creatures with his newfound courage. Their journey, like this musical journey we've traced today, wasn't about arriving at a destination, but about discovering who they truly were. Dorothy realized home wasn't just a place, but a belonging to yourself and to those you love. And isn't that exactly what this magnificent musical tradition teaches us? That our truest connection and our truest expression connects us to our deepest roots while letting us soar to our highest dreams. Look around you. Every genre of music you love carries the DNA of African American innovation. The raw power of rock and roll, the sophistication of jazz, the storytelling of country, the emotion of blues, the complexity of classical crossovers, the energy of pop. All these have the fingerprints of Black musical genius. The drums reminded us of our strength. The spirituals showed us our resilience. The freedom songs taught us courage. The marching bands demonstrated our pride. And today's music proves our endless ability to transform and grow. That's the real magic, not in hiding who we are, but in celebrating our power, our greatness, and our truth. When we are true to our roots, true to our hearts, true to ourselves, and truly embrace who we are, that's when we become our most powerful selves. You know, they say there's no place like home, and thanks to African American music, there's no place that isn't home to a groove that can move you, a melody that can reach you, or a rhythm that can teach you. From African drums to American dreams, our music hasn't just changed the sound of this nation, it's given the whole world its rhythm. So everyone, please let's give our students a round of applause. And let's show them how much we appreciate the joy that they brought to us today. And if I could have Isaiah Young, we need to give, yes. Let's give another round of applause to Isaiah, our whiz. He took us on a fantastic musical journey, and we thank you. You did an amazing job. Thank you. We want to also thank Jeffrey Allen and the teachers and administrators from CMSD for their amazing contributions and musical selections. I also want to thank the Black History Committee for their support in making this event possible. And a special thank you for your time, support, and encouragement in making, my mother. That's who I need my mother to stand up. I want to thank her as well for her time, support, and encouragement in making this event possible, and for providing us with the decoration, setting the scene for us this afternoon. And a special thank you to Cleveland Public Theater for their assistance in helping to outfit our whiz. So please check out their website. And lastly, but definitely not least, thank you, a heartfelt thank you to everyone that came out today and witnessed such a wonderful, wonderful event. And to those on TV 20 watching, we also thank you for your time. And to Michelle Pomerantz from the Mayor's Office, Chief of Education, thank you for staying and celebrating this day with us. We appreciate you. So now, again, everyone, please stay around for a few moments. We have some refreshments. Mingle a little bit. We have our DJ. And please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much.